I'm Bergen Enderbaum, and welcome to the final episode edition of the West Coast tour of the In Your Face Readers Club. I am here at Chez Richard in the luxurious Hollywood Hills. Today we will be reading Antonio Ant, the ant who never says can't. This is an absolute masterpiece of both art and writing. We are experimenting with the short vowel A sound for kids, but also for adults. This is a timeless classic that we hope you will truly enjoy. We shall begin. Antonio Ant, the ant who never says can't. A brave little story about courage, friendship, and never saying, I can't. Get ready for an epic thrill ride, kids. This is a doozy. Say hi to Antonio the ant. He is small. He is fast. He has got 6 little hands. He lives in a garden in the grass and the sand, with a cap on his head and a plan, always planned, and a heart full of can in a can't-do land. Now, some ants in the colony do not believe he is all that. They whisper and chatter and tip-tat their hats. He is too small for big tasks. He is too flat. He is too fast. Every plan that he plans is too grand to last. But Antonio just grins from his cap to his stance, and he says to those ants every chance that he can, see me soar. I am, I can, I will. It is a thrill. And again, our short vowel, we are rocking the A right now, as you can see. This is just a cleansing of the vocabulary English language. And here's Antonio just telling the ants, hey man, you gotta reach big, kids. You can. Queen Ant-oinette sat upon her acorn throne, the grandest ant in all the land, in a castle made of stone? Well, pebbles, but to ants a pebble is a stone. She was magnificent, she was vast, and when she gave a task, that task was built to last. Antonio, she called, her voice a royal command. I have a task so grand, it has never once been planned. No ant has done it. No ant has ever dared. No ant has looked upon this task and not been scared. Antonio stepped forward. He clapped his tiny hands. Tell me, Queen Ant-oinette, I am ready. Here I stand. She pointed past the grass, past the sand, past the plants, to the darkest, deepest, wildest thing in all the land. The Great Rain Water Puddle. Cross that, she said. Can you? Will you? Shall you? Tell your pal you will. And here is Queen Ant-oinette telling Antonio, you got to do a task, man, because everybody's waiting. The ant colony gasped. The great puddle, the vast puddle, the puddle that splashed Grandpa Thatch. Every ant shrank back. Every ant grabbed their pack. Every ant shook their head with a clack, clack, clack. You can't, Antonio. It's too far. It is too damp. It is too grand for an ant from a sand and grass camp. Antonio looked at the puddle. The puddle was black. The puddle was vast. The puddle stretched flat from the sand to the grass and passed. He took a breath. He cracked his back. He snapped his hands, and he said, yes, I can. Yes, I will. Oh, boy, what a joy. He's got his little hat on. He's getting ready. Nobody's going with him. They all are running in the wrong directions. And Antonio's like, again, hey, man, we can. Antonio grabbed a twig. Snap! He grabbed a leaf. Clap! He grabbed some sap from a branch overhead. Tap, tap, tap. He found some gum stuck under a garden lamp. He scooped up jam from a sandwich left at camp. He plucked the petals from a dandelion, damp but grand. And the bees, oh the bees, they brought honey by the strand. A dab of this, a splash of that, a stick right here, and a petal laid flat. He hammered with a pebble, bam, bam, bam. He patched it with the petals, and he glued it with the jam. He sealed with the sap, and the gum and the honey so grand, and he launched it on the water with one push of his hand. And he launched it on the water with one push of his hand. I was almost going to read that a third time. A boat, a raft built by a single ant, and it floated. Fantastic, gasped the ants. That is not fantastic, said Antonio, adjusting his cap. That is just the start. Am I? Will I? Shall I? Oh, my, my. Now here's Antonio building out that raft with all his little supplies. And look who is helping Antonio with the magical, masterful honey from the hive, sent obviously by Queen Beatrice. Okay, that of course is Professor. Goodness me, Professor Kesselwood and Dr. Celia Kleinbauer Stern, of course, are two famous professors and doctors. Antonio paddled out, tap, 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 with half of matchstick snapped in half across his lap. The great puddle was calm at first, then the sky went black. The clouds rolled in with a clap and a crack, and the rain came down, not soft, not flat, but in drops the size of golf balls. Splat, splat, splat. The raft rocked left, the raft rocked back. Water splashed across his cap and smacked his pack. Turn back, screamed the ants from the sand. Turn back, turn back. You have not got a chance. But Antonio grabbed the paddle. Antonio clasped his hands. Antonio did not turn back, because ants who say can do not know how to go back. Look at this dude, man. He is all on his own, just rocking that little raft with his little paddle. And off to the great race he goes. Fearless is that Antonio. And then right there in the crash and the splash, skating across the water in a flash and a dash. Antonio, over here, pal. It was Billy. Billy the water bug. Billy was fast. Billy was glad. Billy had balance that no other bug had. He skated on the water like it was glass, not rain. His long, thin legs dancing without any strain. Looks like you could use a hand, Billy laughed, sliding past. Grab my leg. I will steer us through. Just hold on fast. Antonio grabbed Billy by his leg with a clasp and a clamp. Billy spun to the front of the raft like a champ. Together, ant and bug, bug and ant, they paddled and steered through the rain and the slant, through the crash and the splash, through the damp and the dank, two friends on a raft on a puddle, and neither of them said, can't. We will, we can. Hold on tight. Yes, we can. So now you've got Antonio and Billy, two rock stars. And of course, everyone just looking on, waiting to see either success or folly. Which shall it be? We do not know yet. On the far shore of the puddle, the grass stood tall and grand, and the raft of Antonio battered damp, barely a plank, scraped against the bank and landed on the sand. Antonio stepped off. His legs were shaking. His cap was soaking. His hands were aching. But he was standing. On the other side of the Great Rain Water Puddle, he looked back across the vast, dark splash. He could see them, the colony, tiny specks on the far bank, and then he heard it, faint at first, then louder, then grand, clapping. Every ant in the colony was clapping their tiny hands. And Queen Ant-oinette, magnificent, vast Queen Ant-oinette, she was clapping too, the loudest of them all. There's our little hero, sun shining, everyone cheering, success in a basket. Billy hopped off the raft and danced on the water edge. We did it, Antonio. We actually did it. No, Antonio said, pulling Billy close with a clasp. We did it together. That is what matters most. He looked back across the great puddle one more time. The word can't had lived there once in that dark, vast gap. It had told every ant, go back. You are too small. Turn back. But today a tiny ant with a cap and a plan, and a water bug who shut up when the rain began, had crossed it, smashed it, splashed it through it, dashed past it, and now it was just a puddle, just a flat, damp, regular puddle. Because that is what can't becomes when you stand up to it. Nothing at all. We can. We plan. We did. Now we jam. Just another sunny day on the edge of a bank around a giant puddle. They all saw it now. Every ant, every clan. They saw Antonio cross, and now they finally understand. The word can't, it was never real. It was never anything at all. It was just what fear sounds like when you are feeling very small. Queen Ant-oinette walked through the clapping and the bands, and she placed her tiny crown upon his hands. You showed them, she said, her voice so grand. You showed them that can't is just sand. And sand washes away. You can, we can, all of us can, when we all make a plan. And here's Queen Ant-oinette giving Antonio a little taste of royalty. You think, instead of giving it to the honey thief, she would have given him some royal jelly. But that's for another story. Antonio the ant and Billy the water bug were the first to cross the Great Rain Water Puddle. But they were not the last, because the next day, Agnes crossed it. And then the day after that, Adam crossed it. And the day after that, Anastasia crossed it, who laughed the whole way and did not even get damp. And every single one of them, before they launched their raft, before they grabbed their paddle, before they started fast, they cracked their backs, they snapped their hands, they looked at the puddle, and they said, I can. And now here are all of the ants now realizing that if you can, everyone can. So if you ever face a task that seems too big, a puddle too vast, a plan too grand, a dream too far to ever land, just remember Antonio. Remember his sticks and his sap and his jam. Remember Billy, who showed up and said, grab my hand. Remember Queen Ant-oinette, who always knew he could. Remember the colony that finally understood. If you put your mind to it, anything is possible. So follow your dreams, clap your hands, take a stand, and great things will happen. Yes, they can. Great things are already happening. I can, you can, we can, everyone can. The celebration afar. Antonio, very inspirational. This is the end. Antonio Ant will return, and so will Billy, and so will you. See me soar. That is a direct quote from Antonio Ant. Just reminiscing about the things you can do. Just remember, Antonio may be tiny, but his courage is enormous, especially when Queen Ant-oinette gives him an impossible task, crossing the Great Rain Water Puddle. Antonio refuses to say he can't. When with a clever raft, a brave heart, and help from his friend Billy the water bug, he discovers that even the biggest fears can shrink when you face them together. And this book just simply, just is an uplifting book that celebrates the perseverance, the friendship, and the power of believing you can. And this, my friends, concludes our West Coast adventure. I'm Bergen Enderbaum saying thank you for listening. We shall return again eventually. Who knows what state we'll be in this time. But thank you and good journey.